Hi, it is Saturday, December 6th, 2025. Gold finished the week just above 4197 spot gold on the bid. Silver 58.27 on the bid. Copper 5.25554 on the bid. Copper's bid was steady for the last few hours of New York trading on Friday. If you didn't know the market was open, you would have assumed it was closed looking at the price because it didn't tick for 3 hours. It was pinned. So traders see copper as an industrial signal. Copper's supply is very steady. Mining output doesn't really change year to year. It takes 7 to 10 years to bring a new mine online. Unless there's some major news, some major export control, some war, something crazy happens to a supply shock, the supply tends to be constant, predictable, knowable, and steady. So demand fluctuates with industrial demand generally. So copper is used in tons of industrial applications, and those over time industrial demand shifts. People go from using regular cars to EVs, from horse and buggy to regular cars. All the different things change over time, and different technologies become used more and different less. And so demand fluctuates for that reason. It also fluctuates due to credit conditions, due to other things that are going on in the economy. So price essentially reflects demand as it shifts, unless there's some kind of supply shock for the most part. As far as the change in price, right? So when copper's price rises, it's a signal, and that signal is that industrial demand is rising. Okay, so silver is trying to break out. 5850 is your level where I believe things start to accelerate, and we are right now consolidating under that level. Throughout the day on Friday, this price, they kept trying to bring it down, selling contracts, but it kept getting bought up. It had very solid support structurally, and I believe that support level was 58.20, which we finished over, and we actually ticked up at the very end of the day. So copper being pinned protected silver from being smashed, because copper's sending a signal to these traders of the market, algorithms and such, that industrial demand is firm, and because industrial demand is firm, silver price shouldn't drop. So unless there's a macro signal that would indicate, so silver is an industrial metal, but it's also considered, well, it has been throughout history, a monetary metal. And so it trades as an investment metal. It also trades as it's also an industrial metal. So silver can be affected by macroeconomic factors that cause the monetary bid for precious metals to change, as well as by industrial factors. Now, silver supply, like copper supply, is very steady. So when the price changes, it's either, in theory, now we'll get to price, but in theory, the price should only change when industrial demand changes, or which is signaled by copper, or when monetary demand changes, which is signaled by gold. And so gold was firm. Gold is in a solid range. And so gold is supportive, and there were no headlines coming in changing I mean, earlier in the day we had this inflation number, I think, was a tick lower than what they had expected. So early in the day there was macroeconomic news, but that had all kind of shaken out by late trading on Friday. So there weren't any other real like news headlines. And so what that tells the market, or it should tell the market if they watch this channel and they actually gain an understanding of how these markets work, it should tell people that these smashes are not real smashes. They are not real demand smashes. Industrial demand is not going down. Monetary demand is not going down. All that's happening is people are selling contracts trying to smash price. And so these have all gotten bought up. So this is just, all this has done has created more consolidation under this breakout number. Week longs, price takers have been selling. People have been taking on bad shorts, and intelligent buyers have been buying. They've been buying the dips. So an industrial user, for example, may have bought because the price dipped and they know they're going to need it eventually, so they'd rather buy it now, lock in that price, and keep it in inventory, than had the price go back up. So because if you look at everything that's happened over the last 6 weeks, which I've talked about on this channel, we had backwardation in the December contract for 6 weeks before emergency got rolled to March because they couldn't deliver in December. You've had the LBMA having a supply issue in October where bars were shipped from New York. These are all headlines. You can look this up. You can get all this structural news from major news outlets. You have the Shanghai inventories at record low levels, while those also had to replenish London in October. And you have this market on the verge of a technical breakout that has only been stopped by desperate shorts in New York trying to keep that price down, as copper tells and gold tells the market, this bid is real. We've had structural deficits in silver for years. So the market opens tomorrow afternoon in Asia. evening, I suppose, if you're east of me. But physical markets exist in Asia. Industrial users need real physical bars, and investors, including the People's Bank of China, when it comes to gold, including, well, we've got a lot of, we could go through silver investors, but they're real and they exist and they want physical, and they are disproportionately in Asia, in China, and in India, um, and throughout Asia. Uh, you know, in Russia, in Dubai, in Singapore, uh, in Australia, in Japan. Um, there's a lot of demand out there for all these metals, and there are issues across metals. This is not just a silver issue. Silver is the one to watch, but platinum also went into brief backwardation in the time that silver was in that spell, and platinums didn't last as long, but from my recollection, I think it lasted about a week, at least a few days. That's a strong signal. Platinum doesn't do that. Platinum moves easily. It shouldn't. It's an unusual thing for platinum. Uh you've My understanding is copper inventories are low. Nickel grade. There's two grades. Grade one is the good stuff. That's what's low. That's what gets traded in London. Um, that's low. You know, grade two isn't low. They'll tell you about that. We know that. Thank you, Indonesia. But grade one is, and that's what gets traded in London. Palladium had an unusual withdrawal of metal from COMEX recently, which, you know, one thing that can happen if one metal gets low is people will trade metal for metal. Monetary demand, stackers, they will trade gold for silver or silver for gold if they like that ratio. They don't want fiat, but they like metal. So you can, if you get low in one metal, theoretically, you can find people who will trade you a different metal for that metal. Um, and that could explain why they all are seemingly getting low all at once. So, good luck on Monday, guys. What I know is I'm going to be making a little purchase today.